We can just, we are.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Right, we will call the meeting of the Wayne County Community Corrections Advisory Board to order at 3:03. Let's see, roll call, please.
Chief Judge Pro Tem Larry Williams, Pastor Eddie Williams Jr., Deputy Chief Tiffany Stewart, Andrea Smith, Janella Robinson, Judge Donald Knapp, Armand Harris, Chief Robert Dunlap, Eli Day, Sam Sharikian, Paul Bruno, Chief Judge Pro Tem David Braxton, Dr. Keisha Allen, Commissioner Garza.
Present.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next, please.
Item B, remarks from the chair.
Well, welcome everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. It's good to see everyone again back here at the advisory board. We will have some discussion, and I'll actually, Lester, do you have anything that you wanted to add before we get started?
Nothing at this moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all, and we'll go ahead and go to the next item.
Item C, approval of the November 6th and the December 10th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Right, we'll see a motion and a support for that. Yes. We have a motion by member Bruno, supported by Stewart. All right, thank you so much. All those in favor signify by saying yes. All those opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Next item, please.
Item D, unfinished business, there is none listed. Moving to item E, under new business, number 1, approval of the revised 2026 fiscal year grant application.
All right. Lester.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, Lester Thomas, Administrator for Adult Community Corrections, Wayne County. Most of y'all everyone should have received the handouts that we'll be utilizing today. Just a quick summary and overview of what's happening. The first handout is actually a copy of the grant with the award amount of $900,000 for everyone to have. We made you all aware of that at our last meeting, maybe before then. And then the second piece, the handout is in particular the third page. You should see highlighted. This basically just again reiterates the award of $900,000, but it also this is the indication where we were basically advised that we need to submit a revised comprehension plan than we had previously submitted, and that is what has triggered this, what we're calling, for lack of a better word, a reorganization of adult community corrections. That's why at our last meeting, we brought in the vendors to actually talk about their programs, because we had to make some decisions on which programs we would keep, et cetera. And that's where we're at today. You'll see a detailed spreadsheet. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through this spreadsheet. So if you got a pencil and paper, you may want to write down questions that you can ask afterwards, because I'm gonna try and explain it so it can make sense to everyone, and then we can move forward. When you look at the budget, $900,000, basically we cannot have more than 30% at admin costs. So right then, that lets us know that we have roughly $630,000 committed to programming, max, and then, well, not max, but 270 max for admin costs. So after the presentations and after reviewing all our programming, our utilization rates, what programs we could probably, we're excited that possibly can grow. The first 5 programs on the spreadsheet are the ones that we are recommended be funded through the Community Correction Grant. Those programs are Lake Ridge, which is our jail-based cognitive-based therapy program. That's the first one, with an estimate of $175,000 designated for that program. Lake Ridge is the program that we excited that can expand. Lake Ridge has been asking us to basically, they often have waiting lists. So they're basically saying if they can get a bigger space in the jail or additional timing, they can expand. So we want to actually monopolize that and try and make sure that happens, because that's a successful program that their utilization is high. So that's one of the reasons. And then it's an evidence-based program. Second one is, let me see if I can get this right. Center for Family Development, previously known as Black Family Development. That's another community-based, cognitive-based program. We're designating $125,000 for that particular program. That's another program that can grow. We've talked to representatives from Michigan Department of Corrections with proper, for lack of a better word, really making this program know. And it's currently just a community-based program. However, they have the capability, as they indicated when they did their presentation, that they can also go inside the jail. And that will allow a program for female offenders. So that's one that we want to capitalize on and grow. So that's one of the reasons that one of the 5 programs we're recommending that be funded under the Michigan Department of Corrections grant. The third and fourth one are basically simultaneous. It's the domestic violence program in the jail, as well as community-based. The jail is $50,000 designated, and the community base is $175,000. Because again, those are successful programs and they can grow, and there is more room to actually get the word out that these programs are available, and we anticipate them growing. And lastly, the Real Services Solution, which is a violence prevention program, break the cycle of violence. That's designated $105,000 under the Community Corrections grant. That will total $630,000. Another thing about Real Solutions Services, it's a violence prevention program, but we've also been in discussions with them about including a specific gun safety course in that curriculum, where they would get where the defenders would get a certificate. Those are in the early stages, but I just wanted the board to know that we have had discussions about them. So those are the 5 that will basically programs funded under the Community Correction Grant. Let me speak to the other 3. When you talk about ETRS, drunk driving, third offense, as well as the 5-day housing, those 2 programs is like $40,000 designated for ETRS, drunk driving, and 5-day housing kind of coincide, because what it allows us to do is when somebody basically is eligible to go out into the community and so they won't be housed in the jail. It allows us, the 5-day housing allows us for them to get their assessment, their substance abuse assessment in the jail immediately within 5 days, and then they could be eligible for release. Whereas if they were to possibly be released prior to those 5 days, there is no guarantee they will come back for their appointment, or we would be maybe looking out for them. So those work hand in hand, and particularly one being a substance abuse program. And lastly, because these last 3, when I talk about drunk driving, Wayne County Sheriff 5-day housing, and then this last one, which is the Wayne County GPS tether. We all know about that program designated. That's one that these 3 programs, I'm just going to say, we've actually requested that we get general fund monies to basically support those 3 programs. And then the last one is fugitive apprehension. We're actually requesting that program be eliminated altogether from us, from adult community corrections. So I summarized everything. Let me, I tried to do all this without my notes, so I want to make sure. Let me look at something real quick that I did not mention. Oh, I know what I did wanted to mention about the GPS tether program. Apparently, that program is not evidence-based. It's not an evidence-based program. So that's one of the reasons the grant no longer will pay for that program. However, we have discussed where there's some possibilities that it can be an evidence-based program. It will require them utilizing a praxis risk assessment for pretrial screening, inmate screening. And so some dialogue has to take place to make sure, to see if that's obtainable. And if it is, we need to explore that route in the future, in the near future. Okay, because I believe the application for 27 opens in May. Okay, so you look at the 5 programs, which are Lake Ridge Village, Center for Family Development, ETRS, jail, domestic violence, jail and community based, as well as Real Services Solutions, violence prevention, all funded by the Michigan Department of Corrections grant, totaling $630,000. And then the other 3 programs, ETRS, drunk driving, 5-day housing, and GPS tether, requesting general funds to cover those, which is approximately 235 plus 60 is roughly $300,000. And I think I've summarized everything. So I'll open it up for questions. If anything comes up, I'll let you all know. Commissioner Garza.
Yeah, thank you, Lester. We will open it up for board member commentary at this time. I do want to just also recognize Commissioner Peterson Mayberry for joining us today. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Any board member comments on this?
Can I ask a question about?
Yes, board member.
elimination of the apprehension?
Sure.
Is that?
Speaking,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I got to speak in the mic, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
pull it closer to you if you
Okay.
can.
What I'm concerned about is, a capias, failure to appear. Are you saying that someone doesn't show up for court and then we just leave it to the random traffic stop where they run the guy's name and they say, hey, wait, you got a warrant? And they take him into custody? Nobody's gonna go out looking for these guys anymore?
Well, the sheriff still will go out and look for them, but here's the caveat is this program is not evidence-based.
Yeah,
Let
no.
me backtrack.
Okay.
If law enforcement services gets wind of it and they pick them up, no, they may not necessarily go out and look for them, but this program is not evidence-based. So when you talk about funding from the Michigan Department of Corrections, all the programming has to be evidence-based. You want all you want, but it's not an evidence-based program.
So how do you get evidence for this? I mean, we got the statistics that show, I don't know, 10% of the guys don't show up for court.
Mm-hmm.
And we show that the unit that goes out and picks people up is quite successful.
Mm-hmm.
And so you put those statistics together, and that's evidence-based in my mind, or am I missing something?
If I might. So I
Absolutely.
just wanted to go back to what the program description was initially for this particular service. And I know we talk about the capias from court. So just to be clear, it's not every situation where probation or capias is from court for a hearing, and then they're connected with the Wayne County Sheriff's Fugitive Apprehension. This was very specific in a population that it was targeted to service, which includes those who are in residential treatment who abscond. When that happens and a person fails to stay in residential treatment, the provider is responsible for notifying the agent and the agent notifies the court so that a warrant can be issued. When that takes place, we still act on our part of making sure that there's some level of notification. If the person comes into our office, we take action. We contact the sheriff's department and other local law enforcement agencies as well. Our expectation, of course, would be that when law enforcement is aware that they're going to do their due diligence and apprehend a person who has an active warrant, because these individuals are under the jurisdiction of the Wayne County Court, as well as the Wayne County Sheriff's by way of charge. So just wanted to, one, clarify that component when it comes to the work of the apprehension team. The second part, and I don't know that we've received this data in a long time, how are individuals actually apprehended who have these warrants that went into place because they absconded from a residential treatment program or they didn't go back to specialty court and a warrant is issued? What does that apprehension actually look like? Is it truly, in fact, that the sheriff's office is going out and apprehending them, or are these some individuals who are being apprehended because of other offenses or turning themselves in to the probation department, or are they turning themselves in to the court or some other law enforcement jurisdiction? I think that when we talk about what does the evidence say, that would be a part of it as well, that we would have to look at that to say, in fact, is this because of the Wayne County Sheriff's actually going out and apprehending the people, or what is the way in which the person actually comes back under custody and hopefully ultimately back under supervision? So I'm not totally sure because we haven't seen that data in quite some time to be able to say what that percentage truly is in that true breakdown.
Chief.
Yeah, so I have the same question. I think the challenge is, what is the definition of evidence-based? Because are we paying for apprehension, or are we trying to measure whether or not they're staying in treatment? Because the sheriff can't control that, and this funding can't control them staying in treatment. But certainly if they walk away, we should have data on whether or not we were able to apprehend those individuals. And so if the evidence is, does the data show that we apprehend, say, 80, 90, 95% of the people, then we can produce that. But if the measure is how many of them are staying in treatment, as I heard earlier, we can't control that. Because in Michigan, you don't have to stay in treatment. You can walk away from treatment. And that's a challenge, not just with this program, but all mental health outpatient programs. But for a court order, they can walk away and those facilities are not locked. So I think we need to be really clear about, the definition of evidence-based. Is this funding to pay for whether or not they're staying in treatment, or is it to pay for how many of the individuals are we actually apprehending?
Welcome. Please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Ebony McCann, Division Director, Transition Services. Just as a point of clarification, apprehension is not a program. Apprehension is a service that we provide. And as a result of it being a service, it is not evidence-based. Apprehension won't be evidence-based. It can't be evidence-based. We receive a referral. Custody or Wayne County Sheriff's Office does their part to go out and apprehend the offenders who have absconded from treatment and or violated the terms and condition of specialty courts, which have their own evidence-based curriculums, but the act or service of apprehension is not evidence-based. Now, to your point, we do have data that is submitted from custody monthly, where it speaks to Mrs. Robinson, the means as to which an individual was apprehended, whether it was a walk-in, whether it was a traffic stop, whether custody went out based on their research and identified individuals in the community. But just as a point of clarification, apprehension is not evidence-based. It is, and Molly Maynard is here from the State Office of Community Corrections. If I may even go further, Wayne County is probably the only county that has offered or provided this service to its community corrections. Apprehension of offenders, whether they violate, a warrant is issued from the court, from probation, their sheriff are responsible for apprehending those offenders. This has been a courtesy that we have provided community corrections for the past 20 years, and it was instructed that we need to realign and allow those individuals who have the obligation to apprehend individuals due to their noncompliance to follow through with apprehension. Thank you.
So we're, just so I'm clear, we're correcting where this obligation is supposed to be at, which is the sheriff's department and not within this budget.
Sheriff or other jurisdictions, but it's not housed, it should not be housed in this budget according to the State Office of Community Corrections.
Okay,
Thank you.
I just wanted to be clear on that. Other member, oh, Lester, go ahead.
I also wanted to just say something, just to, I guess kind of as a reminder, but you jumped on, I did say evidence-based and it was jumped on, but please understand that in the last month or so, when we knew we had to make certain decisions, our primary definition of when we looked at is Public Act 511. So we knew we had to make some decisions. And when you look at it, you talk about funding local programs for nonviolent offenders, reducing prison population and or managing jails better, improving public safety through rehabilitative cognitive-based therapy programming, substance abuse treatment instead of incarceration. So when we were looking at that, we tried to tie in the programs that I guess, for lack of a better word, prioritized, and we can do that because we knew some hard decisions had to be made because all the programs could not be funded. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes, Member Bruno. Oh, you shut it off again. Yeah, press it once.
Just one soft tap.
Helping individuals is what the act is all about. And if they abscond, how can we help them? It's wrong to dump this on the sheriff's department. There's 20 years of precedent. And I'm telling you right now, Mr. Shurikin did a very good job of summarizing this. I cannot support this budget until the fugitive apprehension issue is resolved satisfactorily. It would be very easy to take a proportionate amount to satisfy the fugitive apprehension program from each of the 5 services, which are good services and are needed services, to take the money, a proportionate amount of money, and put it into fugitive apprehension. I don't know if the sheriff stands with me on this. Chief, how do you stand?
Well, if I may.
Chief, go ahead.
So that's why I was trying to get a clarification on, is this money only to pay for apprehension? Because I do believe that when this was started, you all might remember the twin judges, the Lloyd sisters. They had a drug treatment program, and these services, I'm told, because before my time in this position, was utilized for women who had drug habits, was prostituting themselves on the street. You put them out in treatment, they walk away, and by having the tether and whatnot, they would go out, arrest them, and then the judge would put them back in the program. And I believe that was even the story of one of the judges, and that, but for that, as Mr. Bruno explained, persistence of local law enforcement, the sheriff, those individuals would have never finished the program because they walk away. And so, in that spirit, if we don't have those type of individuals, then maybe there's not a need for the money. But if it is to really help people stay in treatment and you really want to track them, again, I think it's all about how you define evidence base. If you expect that they're gonna, you know, without the tether, because I thought I was told that some of this is paying for tether for these individuals, which is the only way we would know how or who to go out and apprehend. So it's more than the apprehension. It's the monitoring portion so that, you know, the judges, the courts, they know where these individuals are, and when they walk away, bring them back, as in the case that I described. And I think arguably you can say there is some evidence to whether or not that's effective. But just, you know, locking people up, yeah, it would be hard pressed to prove, other than, you know, the savings, the cost savings to the state and the county of how we save millions of dollars, that we don't put these people back into jail and they stay there because of their condition. You know, they don't have the stamina and the wherewithal to follow through on their treatment. So again, we have to figure out how are we defining evidence base. Mr. Bruno, Mr. Sharikian, they've been doing this longer than me, and I think that's what he's referring to. Certainly, you know, if we don't put monitors on these individuals, it's only going to get worse. They're not going to go at Lake Ridge and stay. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas.
I also need to, what we need to understand is that the Michigan Department of Corrections, this Community Correction Advisory Board can't approve this budget today. It still has to go through Michigan Department of Corrections because they're telling us it had to be revised. There's a strong possibility. What we need to take into consideration is if we were to put any MDOC money into this program, they will reject it. I think we need to understand that. We had numerous discussions with Michigan Department of Corrections, with my supervisor above, and we really thought this thing out. And I just wanted the board to understand that. I reiterate, when you saw $900,000, you remember last year we started at 1.36, then we had a $200,000 reduction, and we ended at 1.160. Now we went to 900,000. We were going to have to cut something. And I think the board needs to understand and really pay attention to what we're doing. It's not like we just want to get rid of a program.
Yeah, Judge.
Well, you see that there's 3 programs here that are funded by the general fund.
It's your microphone on.
We've requested it be funded by the general fund.
Right, okay, requested to be funded by the general fund. This is, I take it, this the county's budget?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess, let's assume for the sake of discussion that MDOC won't fund that. Why not ask the county to fund it rather than eliminate it?
Yeah, that's my question, because I'm trying to figure out what conversations are had about this being eliminated at $50,000. And we already have 3 programs that we're funding with general fund dollars for almost $300,000. And my whole thing is, I think we're talking about $50,000 here. Am I correct in saying that?
We're talking about $50,000, but we also, when we talk to Wayne County membership, I should say, when you talk about chief financial officers and stuff, who we've had discussions with people.
Okay.
It's one thing to say it's only 50,000, but you have to also remember we also asked it for 300,000. So now you're saying 350,000. It's easy to say ask general funds. I want you all just to be clear.
Well, I understand that, but I guess my question is, why eliminate it, assuming that everybody thinks it's valuable and useful in terms of keeping people in? And maybe, you know, as maybe sort of suggested earlier, maybe reducing some of the funding for some of the others slightly, so you can maybe make up the difference. And I guess it's just a question of priority, why those numbers were selected.
And that's one of the reasons the Community Correction Advisory Board exists. Okay? We present it, you all vote for it or don't. Okay? And that was one of the reasons that we had each program come in and talk about it. so that the Community Correction Advisory Board will be up to speed and can make the decision when it was time to vote. Okay, so and I'm just presenting the recommendation.
Member Allen?
So as a new person on this board, just getting some basic understanding and clarity. So I am wondering, I heard the young lady say that the reason why this should not be a part of this budget is because it is not an evidence-based piece, because it's a service, is what I heard her say.
That's correct.
So in not eliminating it, what I also heard her say was that this would still go on, but it would go on in a different aspect or capacity. So what I am wondering is, when we're talking about this, do we have proof or do we have receipts that what has been done in this particular space is actually working? Is there something that is already being done that is working just as well? I don't know that. I do have two other clarifying questions, but because we're on this particular track, I'll stop right there.
Chief?
Yeah, and I was going to say, it might be helpful if you can explain the difference between the Wayne County GPS tether and the Wayne County fugitive apprehension. Now, if the fugitive apprehension is only paying for apprehension, I understand the point here. But it was my understanding that even though it's called fugitive apprehension, it also involves monitoring these specific individuals that are in program. And so, because otherwise there is no difference between GPS tether and fugitive apprehension, because the individuals that go on tether, that's what's happening. They're being monitored to make sure that they comply with the conditions of the court order. And if they don't, we're going out to get them. So I think it may be helpful, and maybe, you know, if the apprehension is in the $235,000 out of the general fund, then certainly that's a whole lot more than what's being recommended be eliminated. So is the apprehension only apprehension, not monitoring anyone?
Okay, we'll come back to you,
Okay.
Member Allen, but Member Robinson.
And Chief, I know Lucille Battle isn't here, and she usually can be able to provide all those exact clarifying details, because she does all that monitoring with the invoices and billing. So, but my understanding is that not everyone who's in a residential program or in specialty court are on tether equipment, correct? So I've always looked at these two as standalones and not a combination thereof. You may have a person who's on tether under the GPS tether line item, but because they abscond or they leave a residential program, then they fall under the potential of the fugitive apprehension. So I thought those would be considered as two separate entities, and not always every person is under the fugitive apprehension or under the electronic monitoring.
Chief?
So if I may, I believe 99 or 98.9% of the people that the judges order to treatment, they want on a tether, if that's your question. We very rarely send anybody to treatment without a tether, okay? Because it's the only way that we can ensure really compliance, you know, because I don't think you have the staff to go out every day or once a week to make sure they're in treatment. And so that's the important part of this, which I think is part of the Prosecutor Bruno's concern. But, you know, I could say, Mr. Bruno, it sounds like what I'm hearing is the apprehension money is not going away. It's just being reduced. I don't know, was that $125,000? And they're going to try to make it up in, no?
You want to come back to Ms. McCann?
Good afternoon again. Two separate issues. GPS tether is specific to individuals who have been placed under the supervision of a judge on pretrial status. These defendants have not been sentenced. They are pretrial, pre-adjudication. The judges placed them on the GPS tether through PA 511 funds to see how they report in the community. And they use those reporting statistics to determine what type of sentence they will render. Adult fugitive apprehension is for individuals who have been sentenced by a Third Circuit Court judge. They are on probation. And as a term or condition of their probation, they have been sentenced to participate either in one of our specialty court programs, so drug court, veterans court, mental health treatment court, or still sentenced to a term of probation, a judge has sentenced them to a residential treatment facility. Those are the only groups of individuals that these funds, I think $54,000 is allocated to attempt to apprehend. There's still hundreds, if not even thousands, of other individuals in Wayne County that are lovely partners at the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, are then obligated or attempt to apprehend, as well as our local police officers. So if there's an individual that gets pulled over for a regular traffic violation, there's a warrant, those local police officers can view the system and see that there's a warrant out for their arrest. But just for the sake of these monies, this discussion, GPS tether specific to pretrial services, pretrial supervision, individuals who have not been sentenced to probation. Adult fugitive apprehension is for those individuals who have been sentenced. So they're under the supervision of the Michigan Department of Corrections. Those are the only people that these funds can be used to apprehend.
I have a question on that point. So just to clarify on this, so the Wayne County Sheriff's Office GPS tether is for pretrial defendants only. And then we're looking at the fugitive apprehension, which is for sentenced individuals?
That is correct. And that is specific to this grant agreement. So specific to this grant agreement, the comprehensive plan and services application that was submitted in May that you guys reviewed a few months before, specified the program description for the programs, and it spoke to the program description and it for GPS tether, and it spoke specifically to pretrial individuals, pretrial defendants, individuals who have yet to be sentenced, and then adult fugitive apprehension or for those individuals specific. And I think the program description that you guys may have received specified, like you can see, individuals who have been sentenced to a specialty court program who violate the terms and conditions of that specialty court program. So they don't go to case management. They don't show up to court. We can then receive referrals from those case managers at Third Circuit Court. We then submit those referrals to custody. And to Chief's point, we pay $542.85 per referral, whether a person is apprehended or not. That was the term and conditions of this agreement. That is what MDOC has allowed for years, for us to pay per referral. As it pertains to GPS supervision, we pay $4.89 per day for those individuals, pretrial defendants who have a GPS tether placed on their body. That's it. We don't pay for staff. We only pay for the services, the monitoring, and then apprehension referral for apprehension. No staff are funded. No Wayne County Sheriff's Office staff are funded through this grant.
Okay. One other clarifying question I have on this is, I know it was discussed that this is going to be housed somewhere else or more appropriate than this budget. What are conversations have you had surrounding that? And just so, as far as assurances go, that as far as what this will be funded in the future, since if it possibly wouldn't be in our budget.
So as it pertains to GPS tether, I think Mr. Thomas did a phenomenal job of explaining what our plans are. So what we've discussed with the Michigan Department of Corrections, Office of Community Corrections, is that Wayne County needs a robust pretrial services entity that potentially, if we have collaboration with Third Circuit Court, the judges, if we have collaboration with pretrial supervision, by implementing what Mr. Thomas referenced, the Praxis, which is a pretrial risk assessment tool that is state approved, we then can have discussions with MDLC to see if they are then willing to provide funding for fiscal year 2027. What that will require is this body to be involved in the discussions that Mr. Thomas will facilitate with Third Circuit Court to see if this is something that they are even willing to do. But in the interim, we have had discussions with our administration that we understand that by abruptly eliminating GPS tether supervision, that may cause a threat or danger to public safety. And so as a result, general fund dollars have been requested to step in the meantime to facilitate that service. So that is our workaround for GPS service, GPS tether. As it pertains to apprehension, we have had brief discussions with Chief Dunlap, and based on the population and Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but based on the population, the number of individuals that were apprehended last year, and because this is not funding or fueling a particular staff person, these costs would be absorbed by custody. And I say that in the event that the Warrant Enforcement Bureau is out, routine traffic stop, there's a warrant, they would pick that person up anyway. And so they would be covered in that sense by other local municipalities. So I just wanted to provide that clarification. So those are the two workarounds that we are working with Office of Community Corrections, pretrial services. Those discussions will be facilitated by Mr. Thomas to see if we are able to develop a robust pretrial services entity that uses an evidence-based risk assessment tool that the state approves, and then further discussions with what that looks like, case management, how often those defendants will then be required to come in. And so there are discussions. And just another clarifying point, Third Circuit Court does use a pretrial risk assessment tool. It is a pretrial risk assessment tool that was developed many, many years ago. That differs from pretrial risk assessment tools that other counties use. We have been informed by the state that we need to use the universal pretrial risk assessment tool, which is the Praxis. We have clarification or confirmation that entities from other neighboring counties, Oakland, are willing to come and be a part of our discussions to show us or train us on how to use that tool, inform us or teach us on how to integrate those tools into our current practices to ensure that the pretrial services component that we offer here in Wayne County offers extensive case management oversight as our other counties. And then the Office of Community Corrections would entertain a proposal for us to request money next year.
Yeah, Chief, did you have?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say to Mr. Bruno, I don't see an issue with me supporting it because if I'm understanding Ms. McCann correctly, the bigger issue here is these individuals that are sentenced by the treatment court is basically tying the hands of the treatment court because they're gonna stay in jail is what this does, okay?
When they're apprehended.
When they're apprehended, the judge, it's really taking away some of the options of the court. But for us in the sheriff's office, not at all. Because I understand these are people under the adult fugitive apprehension who are sentenced by treatment court to treatment. So I just want to let you know that, I mean, we're still going to lock people up, we're going to go after people, but those individuals that may have had an opportunity through treatment court to avoid jail and participate in treatment, that's who this is going to impact.
If they're ever found, excuse me.
If they're ever, so
I got it. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. Additional member comments. We go back to Member Allen. I know you had a couple more.
Yeah, so off of that topic, just to be clear, So when it comes to CFDI, we are increasing the budget for them to have the ability to go inside the jail for female offenders. So this is not something that is currently being offered. This is something that we want to approve them to do. Clarification.
Chief, did you want to?
Well, I have the same question because I need to understand before I vote on it, what is meant by additional space, because we have a lot of competing interests for people to be in the jail to provide different programming. And I can't sit here in good conscience, vote to increase something, expecting that we're going to be able to give different programs the accommodation.
Okay,
So my question was, what does additional space mean? Why are we trying to increase it? Because it looks like we're trying to increase it to 175, provided they get additional space in the jail. So I need to understand, what does that mean?
Mr. Thomas?
Well, one of the issues that we talked about previously, and it was mentioned that additional space was available. So we listened to that and we said these programs can grow and they are good programs. And additionally, it will do something that's not being done, which will offer services to female offenders that's in the jail. So we looked at that strategically. Now, of course, we're going to have to sit down with all entities, which would include you, with our vendors, and shape out what actually is feasible in the spacing and increase if possible, of course. But that's the goal. The big goal is to, when you're talking about these programs that are working, to grow them for utilization because it benefits everyone. So that's the strategic plan.
Chief?
Yeah, so if I may, I did say that there are larger spaces available. I don't know if I said additional, because we don't have additional. I did say larger spaces, because I remember ETRS indicated that they were crammed in a small room. And I wanted to look at that. And so, but I thought I cautioned everyone that there is competition for that space, because we're running a jobs program, which is ending because it was a federal program, and we know this federal government is not interested. And so, but we also recently bought in Wayne County Community College District, Wayne RESA, because we have to have education. And so we do have a larger space, and hopefully in a larger space, you can accommodate more participants. But the challenge is scheduling logistics for all the different programs.
And
Mr. Thomas?
for lack of a better word, or okay, larger still will increase services. It possibly increase numbers for us. And again, that's why I reiterated that we will sit down and have discussions. And then remember, this is when you're talking about the totality of reorganization of community corrections, it's fluid. So there may be some adjustments that need to be made, that we will make the adjustment. We will coordinate. We've been working with Michigan Department of Corrections. And if something was to come up and say, okay, this is not working, can we adjust some monies and move it to another program? Those are things that we have to strategically always be open for. This is basically saying to us, we have basically until the end of January to get this in motion, or potentially risk losing some more money out of this $900,000. This is basically getting the ball rolling so that we can go back to Michigan Department of Corrections and say, yeah, we want this grant. Here's how we're going to utilize it. And again, it's fluid. So we will continue not only with this board, with our conversations with Michigan Department of Corrections and everybody else. If adjustments need to be made, I will notify Commissioner Garza and say, well, look, we need another meeting. Here are some things that we need to talk about. So I believe, if I'm correct, it is even been suggested in the near future that we meet more than usual, because this is a fluent entity that is actually taking place.
So
yeah, Chief.
one last comment. So let me be very clear. I'm all for increased utilization. But I just want to be clear on the record. There are some modifications that need to take place in the jail. And if we can get it done, we can probably double this too. So I just want to be clear. It's one space, it's a larger space, but we have to compete because we can't put, multiple providers there. But with the help of the partners, the stakeholders, we can get it done. So we need some modifications. And if we can get these modifications done, we can definitely do it.
I will just say, just to kind of put a finer point on that, this, like Mr. Thomas said, it's fluid. So when we're talking about space issues, things like that, when we're looking at the funding of this, dollars can be shifted depending on what those, if there's limitations right now, currently. We're talking about one budget year. So I just wanted to just put a finer point on that since we're chatting about the budget in general, but I appreciate those comments, Chief.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we actually have a plan right now where I'm hoping to put all of them in the same space at the same time. But it's going to take some help from the county and everyone else. And it's something that we just started preparing for.
Sure.
And Wayne Reese and others said that they're on board to help with those modifications.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, Pastor.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, Chief. Well, I'm just going to ask a question. Wouldn't, and we'll do whatever we need to take to do to accommodate those spaces as well. So is the jail tight right now in terms of a lot of people in the jails, crowded?
So that's not the issue. It's just where we can provide programming. And certainly we do have a space that we, just started planning where I don't want to get into it too deep at this table because I don't want to be out of order with regards to, our office in the county and others, but there is a space that we hoping can be modified that will allow me to run multiple programs at the same time, multiple days a week.
Because there are some people that are waiting to get in there so that they can get out, right? In terms into those programs, been sentenced to go to those programs. And then at that point, when they do the program, they possibly can be freed, maybe on a monitor or whatever. So it does open up some space in the jail for other folks to come into the jail. So if we could get if we can have those larger accommodations, I think all the other people. So, but I'm with you.
Yeah. So if I may, that's the problem is right now, it's just one large space. And, but that one large space could potentially be multiple spaces that can accommodate up to 15 to 20 people at one time. And so that's the challenge. We just started the GED program back last night, and there was 16 individuals, and it's a space. I'll just tell you, can hold 100 people. But right now, the way it's programming design, we can't do more than a 15.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas.
I also just want to indicate that we have plans to actually eventually move the CCAB meetings actually to the CJC. Because it would be easier for everyone. But I think I mentioned it to Commissioner Garza. I don't know if I mentioned. I'm almost sure I didn't mention to the board. One of the things I think will be very beneficial is when we get there that we actually tour the jail, so you all can see what we're talking about. It's one thing to say and make approvals and everything, but you will actually be able to see what Chief Dunlap is working with and what he's saying, to see exactly what is feasible, maybe now, what may be feasible later. So when we're making these critical decisions, we will have the visual to know exactly if it's possible to happen.
Commissioner, if I may, that's excellent. And we can do the next meeting next month in this space that I'm talking about. Okay. I think it would really help these discussions, and I hope the commissioners can bring some more commissioners with them.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk to our colleagues, right, Commissioner?
No, seriously.
Yes, it'll be
I
good.
think that's an excellent idea. And we should meet on 3B. Third boy in the jail, remember that.
And this is just to, and remember Bruno, right after I'm done speaking, this is something we've been talking about, but just, future, and we'll be meeting monthly going forward. I know before it was very sporadic, how the group met. It was looking at some of the meeting minutes. It went 4, 5, 6 months without meeting. So I want to make sure we're doing this monthly so we stay on track of what's happening here. And we will start meeting at the CJC going forward. So member Bruno.
Yes, my request was going to be whether we would have a vote on that. Where to meet.
If you'd like to, member, we could do that. We could do that. I think we were chatting about it, and we've had a lot of folks reach out and say that would be a good idea to have it at the CJC. But if we want to do a vote, we can do that as well. I'm happy to do that.
Well, I was just wondering that it might have been a good idea, in my opinion, to have a vote ahead of time. But since it's been done, I defer.
I appreciate it. Thank you, member. All right.
You're like it, Mr. Bruno.
Member Robinson.
I just wanted to, I know we're having conversations about revisions to our budget, and just keep in mind that the reason why is underutilization, and making sure that we continue that discussion and that focus, not necessarily today, but the importance of looking at what the opportunities are to increase utilization, what avenues could be explored with regards to that, so that we're not back at the table having the same conversation. And then the last piece of that, which supports utilization, is will we be receiving an updated document detailing the projected enrollments? Because I see increases in several categories, but the projected enrollments, I don't really see a change in that. So I just want to know what our target is so that we know what we're trying to achieve with regards to services for each of these providers.
Okay. Mr. Thomas.
Yes, one of the things that we have things that we're actually going to start doing. One of the things, again, is we talked about monthly meetings, but one of the things that we anticipate doing at the monthly meetings, once we get this approved and we know our numbers for utilization, okay, we will actually, at the CCAB meetings, we will have that data stating where each program is at. Because almost everybody at this table has a voice. Almost everybody at this table have a voice, and we're going to need everybody to make sure 100% utilization, 100% plus happens. So that's one of the things strategically. Another thing is we're going to set it up with our immediately. We're going to have vendor meetings, vendors retraining. When you talk about reorganization, we can't take anything for granted. So you start all over. This is what the Community Correction Advisory Board expects from our vendors. Have a training. This is what's going to happen. We're going to have partnerships with the courts, with the judges and everybody, and understand this is a totality, not a totality, but a corporate decision making where we all have to come together, because you're at this table for a particular reason, because you can reach a particular body that we need to have buy-in to what we're trying to do. So we do have layers of things. Again, it's fluid. And then again, I always say, contact me anytime. Ms. Robinson submitted a great recommendation, was it yesterday or the day before, where ETRS is using like QR codes and different things for referral processes. So that's something we'll explore, to making the referral processes for each program easier. So it's a lot of things, but again, it's fluid. And when you're talking about reorganization, it is so much on the table, and you have to basically just prioritize. And this actually has been the legwork to get prioritized so we can move forward and start instituting some of those things that's basically we're waiting to basically activate.
Did you have something, Chief?
Just one last thing. So in terms of increasing utilization in the jail, I just need to put it out here. Just like ETRS, Wayne Risa, Wayne County Community College, we have to find the personnel and the funding and the resources too. And I don't know if these budgets a lot for that, but we get a lot of different hey, we want to do this in the jail, we want to do this in the jail. And so I just want to put that out there. I don't know if community corrections budget could fund any of personnel costs in the jail, but if so, I know we're saying that the apprehension is not evidence-based, but that funding might be enough money to provide a FTE to help facilitate some of those services. And so I know it's a cap, 30% on what you say administrative costs. But I just want the board to keep that in mind when we go over to the jail. And I think it'll be very clear to you all what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, Member Robinson.
Yep, just one last question. Earlier on, we were talking about Real Services Solutions, Violence Prevention Program, and potentially incorporating. I couldn't catch if that was handgun. It sounded like I heard handgun safety. Was it handgun intervention, prevention, or?
Actually, handgun safety course where they were actually inside the curriculum, they will specifically have a course on handgun safety. When you're talking about violence, and once they complete it, I can't tell you, but I'll get the data to you. I know the hours that it will incorporate, and it comes with a certificate of completion that they will be able to show whether they PO the judge or whatever. Once, first of all, it got to be approved, but once it is, I'll be able to send everybody how many hours it is and what it'll entail. But it's a gun safety course.
Because generally our individuals cannot carry handguns. It should be a prevention so that we.
Gun prevention, I'll whatever.
I'm gonna say that we're gonna teach a safety course. So you can't.
The key was safety. I think the key was safety.
Member Shrikian.
If they're in the jail, they very well may be convicted felons and they shouldn't have guns, period. Because then they're going to be prosecuted for being a felon in possession. That's a 5-year felony plus felony firearm. That's consecutive 2 years.
We're gonna need more money for it.
I mean, I'm just telling you.
You know, that might be a discussion for future that we may express.
Okay.
If I could, I was just gonna say that I think the discussion is probably looking more so at the number of gun-related offenses that are taking place within our county and what type of programming could be put in place based off evidence to help reduce or prevent the occurrence thereof, so.
Well, this is I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
This is what the discussion is for. Remember, I'm almost 2 years in. When this violence prevention, when I came, it was on the table.
Mhm.
I can only say what I was told. I was told it was requested by the courts. I don't know if it was a judge for this program, violence prevention or whatever, and they specifically wanted it like something with gun safety or something like that. However, or any new information that I need to know, just get it to me and we can adjust accordingly. That way I won't be going on hearsay. Just let me know.
Member Bruno.
I just wanted to weigh in on the gun education program. I take a little bit different approach than Attorney Sharikian on this, because I believe that even if somebody has been adjudicated a felon, if a gun exists in their house, I'm not sure they're prohibited from defending themselves from an intruder, for instance. And unfortunately, we keep having children injured and killed as a result of people being negligent with the firearms in their homes. And to that extent, for that issue, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you, Member Bruno. Any other comments on this proposed budget? I wanted to give an opportunity. I know we have Molly and MDOC here as well. If there's any comments or anything? Are you good? All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Thomas, anything else?
Nope, just need a.
Okay. Sure. Just want to make sure I not missing anybody here. All right, if there's no other discussion, we will need a motion for the approval of the revised 2026 fiscal year grant application.
I make a motion that the proposed budget, considering all the things discussed, be approved. If I can do that, just to qualify the conditions. Is that proper? I make a motion that the budget be approved considering all that was discussed.
I'll look to our
So you guys had pretty lengthy discussions. So I do have some notes here, and what I got from the discussion was you guys want to look into putting more monies into the fugitive apprehension program, maybe taking away from the first 5 programs that he spoke about. Is that the main?
So I'm motioning that it be approved, and I don't want to lose sight of the fact that when we say additional space in the jail, it's not additional space, it's a larger space that needs to be redesigned in order to accommodate some of this, and I believe it can be done. And so that's what I don't want to do.
Sure, and I think we can speak to that. I just want to make sure we're clear. This is just a motion to approve this budget. I don't know if we can necessarily attach that because we're just talking about the numbers right now.
I'm concerned about the dollar amount.
Dollar amounts, right?
Okay.
But I think that as we continue to meet, that's going to be, something we hold into account for sure. And also just want to be clear again about the budget and being able to reorganize some of this, just so this is what we're submitting. And then we will continue to meet and talk about the programming and the funding, and if there's opportunity even for programming to be continuously brought forward from general fund. And we'll talk about that. We'll have discussions about that as we see the need for it. So,
All right, so moved.
all right. Did you have something?
Had discussion, sorry.
No problem. Go ahead, Member Robinson.
This is not necessarily the full budget. This, because it doesn't have the administrative cost included, it's really not the full budget.
Programming, yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a modification of a budget snapshot. So I don't know if we can move forward with an approval based off what was presented, noting, I don't know, a full budget to come. I'm not totally sure how that would be worded because it's missing.
Mr. Thomas.
It's not on that spreadsheet, but I believe, I'm sorry about that, but on the email that I sent, it had 630 for programming and 270 admin costs, which is $900,000.
Yeah.
The 270 is the max we can have. That's the 30% cap. We cannot go over that. So that will be the admin cost, and then the 630 will be the programming. That's the budget right there.
Yes, so that's the 900,000, the 630, and then the 270 for staffing or admin.
You mentioned.
Yes, Chief.
So what are we doing? Making a motion to approve the 5 local programs: Lakewood Village, Trauma Informed Care,
Where's your mic going?
Trauma Informed Care, BFDI, ETRS, Domestic Violence Jail, ETRS, Domestic Violence, Community-Based and Real Services Solutions Violence, to move those forward, for request for grant funding for this fiscal report for the board.
That's perfect. Thank you. So we have you're in agreement with that, Chief? So both chiefs here. Thank you. Motion by Chief Dunlap, supported by Deputy Chief Stewart, to move this forward as stated. Any additional discussion on this? Okay. We will have a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item F, such other matters that may be properly submitted before the board.
I'm not aware of any.
Item G, public comments.
All right, we are at the public comment portion of our advisory board meeting. Are there anyone, if there's anyone on Zoom who'd like to make public comment today, you can unmute now and do so at this time.
There are no hands on Zoom and there's no emails were received.
Okay, no emails received. Anyone in the chamber who would like to make public comment to the advisory board, please come up to the table and do so now. Okay, I do not see any members in the audience who'd like to make public comment today, none online. So going once, twice, 3 times, we are going to close public comments.
Item H, adjournment.
We need a motion to adjourn. All right, Chief Dunlap, make motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right,